I think it's kind of encapsulates the season that we just don't know what's going on week to week. You know, to see these big leads given up first, it's kind of surprising that some of these good teams are getting blown out. And then the comebacks that they make, starting off with this Bills and Buccaneers one, which was incredible. But at the end of the day, it's just, you know, Tom Brady with another win over the Buffalo Bills, something he's done a whole lot in his career. But it got really, really exciting.
Yeah, I think I saw yesterday his record is 33-3 against the Bills in his career, which is just obscene and very upsetting if you're a Bills fan. And think about how you have to feel if you're a Bills fan. Last Monday night, they have to deal with the Patriots, and then short week on the road, they have to deal with the longtime Patriots quarterback, and they emerge from those experiences 0-2, now 7-6 after the 4-1 start. When you consider that they're 7-6, and Michael David Smith pointed this out earlier today, the Falcons are 6-7. The Broncos are 7-6. I mean, the Bills have just kind of sunken back to the pack after looking like the only dominant team early in the year, but that's why they play 17 games, not just 5, not just 6, but the whole season is going to show us who is good, who is not good, and a lot of them are going to cluster together. But for the Bucs, they're starting to separate from the cluster. 4 straight wins. And they're looking pretty good right now. And you look at the rest of their schedule, and we're at the point in the season where I think it's very relevant to look at the rest of the schedule. The Bucs have a manageable path. They last lost against Washington coming out of their bye. They've kicked it in since then. And that 1 seed is there for the grasp. Between them, the Packers, and the Cardinals, that scrum for the 1 seed is going to be fun to watch down the stretch.
No, listen, it really is. You know, the Cardinals playing tonight against the Rams, and all the Packer fans, as we'll get into, rooting for the Rams on this one because the Packers hold that head-to-head advantage over Arizona, as those 3 teams seem to be the teams fighting for the number 1 seed. But we saw Tampa Bay go to Green Bay last year and get the win before they won in the Super Bowl, so we know they could do it. Still, the Packers would love to host up here because while it was a nice night last night, you never know. In January, there could be 6 feet of snow. I mean, and it could be a real advantage for them. But, I mean, look at Tampa Bay. Beat New Orleans next week, first division crown since 2007, which seems kind of irrelevant to say since they came in not winning the division last year and won the Super Bowl. And that's really all that matters. But to get that division crown that they hadn't won, like I said, since 2007 would be a pretty big thing for them. And listen, the game yesterday, what I found, Mike, over the season, it's been an unpredictable season, but there have been 2 predictable routes that have been run this year in the NFL. It's the play action boot right play and the crossing routes. They are the big routes in the NFL right now. And that last play with Perriman, you saw that. I mean, it was a crossing route. He was the only one going left to right. Everybody else was on the other side of the field, drawing all the defense away. So he was alone over there. So all he needed was a step on the defender, which he had, and it was clear sailing because of the crossing route and the way they run them, or the way they run those routes. So, I mean, this is the NFL right now, and there's a reason why everybody else on the offense was on the other side of the field and clearing this one out for Perriman the whole way. It worked to an absolute, just how they drew it up in practice.
And one of the realities as well, when you see a receiver being covered by a guy with the number 49, that's also an advantage. And in a league that is driven so much by matchups now, if you can find a favorable matchup where you get a receiver covered by a linebacker, and let's make sure who it is so we call out the right person. Oh, it's Tremaine Edmonds.
Yeah.
I almost said a word I shouldn't say. I mean, yeah, you should not have – that reminds me of the night 3 years ago when Anthony Barr ended up covering receivers on multiple occasions, and Todd Gurley once in a shootout between the Rams and the Vikings. I mean, you put that linebacker on a receiver, what do you expect? And that's Tom Brady's 22 years of experience. That probably was, to a certain extent, a setup once they saw that they could get that matchup, and then off Brashad Perriman goes. And the hustle award of the entire month goes to the guy who works for the Buccaneers, who emerges out of nowhere to get that ball, because that ball was touchdown pass, regular season, postseason for Tom Brady, number 700. Can we show that again at the very end? And you can see the legs coming across the back of the end zone, sprinting across. There he comes. The ball's on the ground. He's like, hey, whoa, hey, now. I guess there's a chance he doesn't really work for the Buccaneers. And it's just, I'm going to act like I do, and I'm taking that ball with me. But I think the more logical explanation, Mike, this is a reaction to what happened when Brady set the all-time passing touchdown record and Mike Evans gave the ball to a fan. That ball wasn't going to a fan. There was going to be no tickets, no jerseys, no Bitcoin, no nothing. They were not going to give that ball to somebody and have to go bribe their way to getting it back.
I think they were well more prepared for this one and knew what was going on. Now, again, we think that kid works for Tampa Bay. If we see that ball up on eBay in a little while, we're going to know it's a different story. But I think they'll be prepared. I mean, Brady set the record for most completions. I mean, he's just going to keep going and own everything by the time he's done. But to your point, after the Mike Evans, hey, here, fan, take this ball that is meaningless to me, but not to Tom Brady. Yeah, I think they're going to avoid that in the future and be ready for all. Just be smart. Any touchdown pass he throws or anytime he rushes for whatever, just get the football and decide later what you want to do with it.
Well, every touchdown pass he throws from now on is a new record. That's the thing. Who cares about the one that was given to the fan? Yeah, the next one's a new record, and then a new record, and now this one, and now there'll be another one, and then there'll be another one. I mean, he's going to have footballs out the wazoo if he all of a sudden has decided he's going to get sentimental and try to collect all of these footballs. He's going to need a warehouse just to put the damn footballs in. He also is not bashful about running. Now, usually when you see Tom Brady do the Tin Man routine, and, I've said from time to time that when he runs, I feel like we should have John Facenda's voice narrating a slow-mo NFL film segment because it's just kind of lumbering. But, hey, the guy's 44, and he's out there among guys half his age. He runs and he slides. This is where he gets the slide in like he did a few weeks ago in the Monday night game. Kind of a late slide, a little dangerous for him. This is the one that gets people nervous because this is where you don't want to be embracing contact at 44, dropping the helmet, putting the ball out there. Mike, I say it all the time. For quarterbacks, you got to avoid contact because the more contact you take, the greater the chance you're going to get injured. And when you're Tom Brady, and that arm's going to last into your 50s, the rest of your body's what you got to worry about. It's a little surprising to see him give in to the moment and embrace contact when he knows that he's at enhanced risk of getting himself banged up.
Listen, I'm not surprised at all, Mike. I mean, there are times to be smart, and there are times when you have to put your head down and get the first down. So, and Tom's been around to know enough. Listen, Tom looks the same he did at 25 and 35 and 44, 45. I mean, he ran like a tin man then, and he runs like a tin man now. But he does a great quarterback sneak. Obviously, we've seen him score or get many first downs that way. But every now and then, you got to try and get the yards. For the most part, I agree. Stay out of harm's way, especially for a non-mobile quarterback like Tom. But sometimes you got to get the yards and he's smart enough to know the situation during a game. When do I need a first down? When do I need to actually try and get those extra yards as opposed to giving myself up? So listen, at this point, I don't know how we don't defer all the time to Tom. And it does. You do cringe when he is trying to get those extra yards and he takes that shot because is a 44-year-old man getting hit by younger players who have, violence on their mind, that he's going to get up after that. But like I said, I think he's doing the same things he did 20 years ago, knowing the difference of when I need to really take the chance of getting hit and when I need to just slide.
Well, and I share that for two reasons. Number one, the younger players, the defensive players, I think are beginning to realize that they don't have to tiptoe on eggshells around the quarterback once he decides to run the football. And we're seeing more and more physicality inflicted upon quarterbacks who choose to abandon all protections for roughing the passer. And secondly, although the rest of us may be inclined to defer to Tom Brady, there's one person in a position of some authority. The full extent of his authority remains the subject of reasonable debate. But Buccaneers coach Bruce Arians, not a fan of Tommy getting knocked around. Here he is from after yesterday's game.
Seems like every other week Tom Brady is achieving some other milestone. This week
I can't keep up with him.
I know. I don't think any of us really can. But what can you say about him and his longevity in the sport and the fact that he's just continuing to do this at such a high level?
I don't think there'll be any records left when he's done.
He sacrificed his body to get that first down. I mean, he took a hit.
Yeah, that's enough of that.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.